For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber. Instant analysis of USC's 28-27 victory over Utah. It was an ugly win, but tonight an ugly win is something that USC will take. This is huge for the Pac-12 South and huge going forward.
Yeah, they'll take any win because I think one of the themes in the post-game questioning is, are you getting better? Are you progressing and whatever? And I think Cam Smith looked at it and said pretty much, we got to win. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get a win every week. By not answering, are they making progress? You know what he's thinking. But they got the win, and they needed a win. They had to have a win. They'd have been so far playing from behind because they'd have been a game behind in the loss column to Utah, and they would have already lost the tiebreaker to Utah. So basically, they'd have been 2 games behind Utah. You almost can't make that up in a Pac-12 South where a lot of these teams aren't going to be that challenging.
It's kind of funny. We were setting up for instant analysis today. Clay Helton happened to pass by, and he was wondering what the skinny was. What were we going to say in today's video? And you told him it's almost like the team needs to play with 14 behind from the start. It was almost like a tale of 2 different teams, first half to second half.
Yeah, I said, really, maybe you'd be better off start out, put 14 points up for the other team, and then just go out and try to make them up, which is what they did tonight, 21-7. And they played so different in the second half when they basically, and I like what Cam Smith said, is what he told them at halftime was, you're not having any fun. Go out there and play, have fun, don't think about things. Darnold said, we picked up the pace. We started playing tempo. We started pushing them. We wore them out. And I'd like to see them try that in the first half. That would be like a really cool thing to do, I think, is try to see maybe we can wear them out quicker. And they play when it doesn't look like the whole world depends on every single play or play call, but just get into a rhythm, get going. That second half of the Penn State game in the Rose Bowl, just when they're behind, this is a way better team. They play better defense too. The one moment in the second half when they didn't play the defense that they played all the rest of the time was when they had the lead. They had the 28-21 lead, and then all of a sudden, boom, there they come down the field. This is a team that clearly plays better, when they're behind, and you would like to be able to see that they could, in their minds, in their game plan, simulate what is it we're doing when we're behind that changes everything. And is there a way we can do that from the start? Is there a way we can, practice that and maybe just commit to that? Just say, this is who we are. We're going to put pressure on you. We're going to play tempo. We're going to use all of our wide receivers. We're going to run Ronald Jones in there, quick hitters, try to, beat the big guys to the spot and just attack. And we'll see. I don't know. I think there's a little too much thinking going on and not enough just let the players play.
And this is a team that's talented enough that they can just go out there and play if they wanted to. But it's interesting, the foibles that we saw on the offense, the fumbles, the mishaps in Oregon State, they carried into this game. Is that at this point a little bit concerning to you?
Yeah, I think it is. I think they have been buffaloed a little bit by the 12 games no bye. And they've been, do we push them or not? I mean, you could see that first half, what happens when you haven't really done any kind of live tackling in practice. And then, they've got guys, 5, 6 guys on some of those plays, missed tackles, run by people, don't take the right angles. Really got blown up by a more physical Utah team until Utah ran out of gas. And USC's got better athletes, but it didn't look like it. It looked like Utah had, the bigger, stronger, tougher, better athletes until USC started playing like USC can play, and then you realize, oh wait, Utah doesn't have better athletes. USC has better athletes. They just didn't play like it.
It's interesting. I asked Ronald Jones what happened in the locker room. What was the difference? And he said a lot of guys were pissed. And he said that the leadership stepped up. We even saw Sam Darnold show emotion. He's kind of more even-keeled, but he stepped up and showed emotion. How much does that leadership from players matter in tight games like this?
Well, I think it mattered to Clay, because Clay came out and they did that little interview right before the start of the second half. And he said, and I know people were like cynically saying, what? But he said, I can't wait to watch these guys play the second half. And I'm thinking, really? That same team that just played the first half, he was right. I mean, he picked up something that they were going to come out and play like they played the second half. Why that has to happen when you're down like that, when you've had as bad a half as they've had, I don't know. I mean, you almost couldn't do any more things wrong in the first half than they did, and somehow they were still in it. I mean, Utah's a pretty good football team, and then they turned it around completely, and they just pretty much took Utah out of the game, except for that one drive. And we can, talk about it. Just didn't look like the same USC team in that last drive once they had the lead. Again, are they better off thinking they don't have a lead?
I mean, you also have to factor in the fact that that was the end of the game. The defense could have been gassed at that point.
A little bit. I think that, that might have been a little bit of it, although I think Kyle Whittingham deciding not to go for the deciding to go for the 2-point extra point probably tells you he thought his team was more gassed than USC, and that if it goes into overtime, the advantage is probably to USC, which I agree with. I think he made the right call. I think you go for it. You win or lose on one play. I think that was the right call on the road in these circumstances. I think USC would have had the advantage in an overtime.
Mm-hmm. We saw peaks of Sam that we saw last season. That Tyler Petit scramble touchdown was something that we've seen from him before, and now we're starting to see peaks of it in this game. You asked him post-game, are you an option QB? And he kind of chuckled and said, I am if I don't turn the ball over.
And then he said, well, I can't run as fast as Matt Fink can, but he said, I can do it. I can do okay, or whatever, something like. But I mean, we haven't seen that. We haven't seen him escape the pocket. And even if he does, we haven't seen him be able to be accurate on the run. And, the one touchdown pass to Tyler was, you just can't throw it any better between two defenders. Yeah. I mean, it just, and that said, oh, wow, we've seen that before. And then I just thought he exploded out of some of those, some of those scramble plays when he needed, double-digit yards to get a first down, and he got them. And we haven't seen anything even close to that this year. So. And I think in practice, we have seen him moving better, looking more like last year. I think he's just feeling better. I mean, again, they're never going to tell us. Yeah. There's something going on there. But you've been able to tell at practice he feels better, he looks better, and he's getting closer to where he was last year. And that'd be nice if they can somehow survive until he gets back to being Sam Darnold of last year.
Yeah.
Because he's got more experience, he got more poise in some ways. Last year, you're so young, you're not even probably completely understanding what you're doing. This year, he more understands what's involved here and how big a deal this is. So, not as easy, I don't think, for Sam to do it, but he's got some things that he didn't have last year. Once he gets to the point where he feels totally comfortable escaping the pocket, totally comfortable sprinting out, throwing the ball on the run, and one of the things that happened, even without Daniel Amater-Baby, I think he might have been in there for a play or two, is they started throwing the ball to the tight ends. I mean, the first 3 touchdowns to the tight ends. I mean, when has that ever happened? I mean, they're just 2 games ago, they didn't throw a single pass to the tight ends at Washington State.
Yeah. USC goes to Notre Dame next weekend. What's your prognosis of this season? They're kind of reaching the turning point to an easier schedule, if you will. What's your thoughts?
If they can get there. I mean, that's why this game was so important, because it changes everything about next week. Mm-hmm. If they lose this game, next week is really a tough week, and this is more now an upbeat. The game matters. Notre Dame's had a week off, so they'll have 2 weeks to get ready for this game. I'm sure every single Notre Dame player was watching this game tonight. It's so much better for USC to be coming off this win and being able to go to Notre Dame and make a stand, because they know they get this game, they got a shot. You get the Notre Dame game, USC has a shot to run the table for sure. And that's gigantic. They asked Sam, do you ever think about the big picture during the game? And he finally said no. He said that's a temptation, but he said no, I don't. But how big everything is, that.
He said sometimes, and then realized he kind of led on to it, and then was like, no, and then kind of chuckled. So it was kind of a yes, but a no.
I think he said sometimes in like a theoretical or in general, but then the questioner said, well, what about tonight? He said, oh, no, not tonight. I didn't think about it. So he was good. I mean, Sam handled himself, I thought, really well tonight.
Yeah, he did. Any final thoughts? I know fans watching this are probably screaming at us that there were kind of some questionable coaching calls, obvious mistakes, but USC 6-1. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the game and you say, first half, no rhythm. Play calls didn't make any sense at all. They're asking them to do things, you know, we don't see them in practice. What are they doing? And then the second half, they just get going and going and going. I mean, it's like, how does that happen? How do you have two halves called completely differently? It's hard to explain. I mean, I don't think we have a good sense of how to explain that, because it looks like they didn't have that much of an idea of what they wanted to do at all in the first half. In the second half, they looked like they absolutely, totally, completely knew what they wanted to do. I mean, same game, two halves, just couldn't be as different. I don't know.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up from the Coliseum. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.